Hello friends, you are welcome in video lecture series on the topic from ecology. So today I am going to discuss the next group of ecology, epiphytes. So the epiphytes, we can define this term epiphyte. Epiphytes are the plants which are growing on other plants. So these epiphytic plants are autotrophic in nutrition. They can prepare their own food. That means the plants which are growing on other plants for only support, they synthesize their own food because of presence of chlorophyll pigments in them. That means they are autotrophic in nutrition. They obtain water as well as mineral nutrients from dead and decaying bark of the supporting trees, and partially they are also obtaining nutrients as well as water from atmosphere. So as far as distribution of the epiphytic plants is concerned, epiphytic plants are distributed in tropical and subtropical regions of the world. That means they are worldwide in distribution. So as far as the examples of the epiphytic plants are concerned, some cryptogamic plants like algae, they are also epiphytically growing on aquatic plants, angiospermic plants. Some leptosporangiates ferns, fern means pteridophytic plants. So these fern plants are also, some fern plants are also growing on other plants. These are also examples of epiphytes. Then some club mosses. Mosses are the examples of bryophytes. That means some algae are growing epiphytically. Some leptosporangiate ferns or pteridophytic plants are also growing on other plants epiphytically. Some mosses, especially club mosses, are also epiphytically growing on other higher plants. So as far as the number of epiphytic plants is concerned, the flowering plants or higher plants, they shows higher number of epiphytic plants. The estimated number of epiphytic higher plants or flowering plants is near about 24,000. That means near about 24,000 flowering plants or higher plants are epiphytically growing on the other plants. So as far as classification of these epiphytic plants is concerned, the worker, name of this worker, Simper. So this worker, Simper, classified or grouped epiphytic plants into 4 categories, namely protoepiphytes, number 2 hemiepiphytes, number 3 nest epiphytes, and number 4 tank epiphytes. So what is the meaning of these terms? What is the meaning of protoepiphyte? What is the meaning of hemiepiphyte? What is the meaning of nest epiphyte? And what is the meaning of tank epiphyte? So I am going to discuss the protoepiphytes are the epiphytic plants. They obtain their nourishment or water and food material or nutrients partly from the bark of the supporting tree and partly from atmosphere. That means they are not totally depending upon the supporting plant. Partially they are obtaining their nourishment from bark of the supporting tree. They absorb moisture as well as nutrients from supporting tree bark, and partly they obtain their nutrients and water present in the atmosphere in the form of moisture or vapors. Then another group of epiphyte is commonly known as hemiepiphytes. So these hemiepiphytes are also known as pseudoepiphytes, because in the beginning these epiphytic plants, hemiepiphytic plants, grows as like true epiphytes on the supporting plants, higher plants. But later on they establishes the contact with soil with the help of their root system. That means such type of epiphytic plants initially which are growing on other plants, later on they make the connection with soil and obtain the nourishment in the form of nutrients and water from soil. That's why these plants are also called as pseudoepiphytes. The next epiphytic group is commonly known as nest epiphytes. So these nest epiphytes are also known as holoepiphytes because these epiphytic plants, holoepiphytic plants or nest epiphytic plants, they are completing their whole life cycle on the supporting plant. That means totally these plants obtain the nourishment in the form of nutrients and water from supporting plant and they complete their whole life cycle on the supporting plant itself. That's why they are known as nest epiphytes. For example, many varieties. For example, Honda orchid, which is very common in our Western Ghat. So these holoepiphytes complete their whole life cycle on the supporting plants. And last group of epiphyte is commonly known as tank epiphytes. So these plants produces the fibrous roots, and these fibrous roots which are produced by these plants don't take part in the absorption of water because the modified leaves in this group, tank epiphyte, modified leaves take part in the absorption of water as well as mineral salts. These tank epiphytic plants are also heterotrophic in nutrition because they possess leaves which take part in photosynthesis process. So this is the classification made by this worker. Silber made the classification or grouped epiphytic plants into these 4 categories. Then I am going to discuss the morphological adaptations as well as anatomical adaptations as well as physiological adaptations in epiphytic plants. So as far as the morphological adaptations in epiphytic plants are concerned, I am going to discuss what kind of root system is there, what is the modifications or adaptations in root system, what are the adaptations in stem, what are the adaptations in the leaves. So as far as the root system of this epiphytic plant is concerned, root system is well developed. So epiphytic plants, not all epiphytic plants, some epiphytic plants produces or bears these 3 types of roots, namely normal absorbing roots, number 2 clinging roots, and number 3 aerial roots. So with the help of this diagram, we can easily understand these 3 different types of roots. So first type of root, normal absorbing root. So these normal absorbing roots can absorb the moisture as well as nutrient salts from the surface of the bark of the supporting tree. Second type of roots are known as clinging roots. So these clinging roots take part in fixing the epiphytic plant body firmly on the supporting bark trees of the supporting bark. That means fixing of the plant body and absorption of nutrients and water. These are the 2 main functions of the root system of any higher plants. But in these epiphytic plants, clinging roots or fixing roots only plays important role in fixing the plant body firmly on the bark of the supporting tree. And last category of root is commonly known as aerial roots. So these aerial roots are generally green in color. They are thick one, they are spongy one, and these aerial roots are generally green in color. These aerial roots, because of presence of chlorophyll pigment, they also take part in photosynthesis. So these aerial roots plays important role in absorption of atmospheric moisture as well as mineral nutrients which are available in air in the form of dust particle. These aerial roots plays important role. That means as like sponge, this aerial root absorb the atmospheric moisture and provide it to the entire plant body. That means these 3 different types of roots are only found in epiphytic plants. So this is the important adaptation found in epiphytic plants regarding the root system. Then stem. If we observe the stems of epiphytic plants, stems of the epiphytic plants are not extensively developed in most of the epiphytic plants. Stem is not most extensively developed. That means stem is reduced. It is not well developed. In some plants, stem is modified. It becomes tuber-like or bulbous. it is known as pseudobulb. It is not true bulb as like onion. That means it is the modification of stem in some epiphytic plants. That means stem is reduced, it is thick and fleshy, bulbous in some epiphytic plants. The leaves of the epiphytic plants, they are also showing modifications or adaptations. So leaves of the epiphytic plants are very less in number. They are not produced in large number as like mesophytic plants. That means less number of leaves. It is the adaptation. Then some epiphytic plant possess or develops only single leaf. Some epiphytic leaves possess single leaf. In most of the epiphytic plants, leaves are thick and fleshy one. They are leathery one. Some epiphytic plants produces the modified leaves. That means pitcher-like leaves. As well as in some epiphytic plants, leaves becomes modified. They are looking like spoon. That means these spoon-like leaves take part in collection of water from rain and absorbed by the hairs present in the leaf, modified leaf like spoon-like leaves. That means, for example, this pitcher-like leaves. The pitcher-like leaves plays important role. Pitcher-like leaves plays important role in collecting the water and providing the water to the epiphytic plants. Then, as far as the fruits, seeds, and their dispersal is concerned, all epiphytic plants produces very small size fruits. Number of fruits and seeds which are produced by the plants, epiphytic plants, is very high in number, or large number of seeds and fruits are produced. Seeds are produced by the epiphytic plants, and dispersal of these seeds as well as fruits takes place with the help of wind, with the help of insects, with the help of birds, etc. etc. So these are the morphological adaptations in epiphytic plants. Then anatomical adaptations. So epiphytic plants anatomically also shows some adaptations. For example, epiphytic plant shows thick cuticle and sunken stomata. So these thick cuticle and sunken stomata are the important character of xerophyte. In order to check or reduce the loss of water from aerial organs like leaves, the sunken stomata and thick cuticle check the rate of transpiration. That means this thick cuticle and sunken stomata, as like xerophytic plants, is shown by the epiphytic plants also. Then epiphytic plants, another adaptation shown by the epiphytic plants is the parenchyma tissue. In epiphytic plants, take part in the storage of water. Then filament tissue. If we take the transverse section of the aerial root of orchid and observe under microscope, it shows the filament tissue. That means this is the chart showing the transverse section of the aerial root of orchid, which shows the uppermost limiting layer. It is followed by filament tissue, it is followed by exodermis, it is followed by ground tissue, it is followed by innermost layer of ground tissue in the form of endodermis, it is followed by pericycle, which encloses the actual conducting tissue strands in the form of xylem bundles and phloem bundles, and central place is occupied by pith. So main adaptation in this anatomy of the root is the presence of filament tissue. So this filament tissue is not found in any root except aerial root of orchid. So this filament tissue plays important role in absorbing the atmospheric moisture. It is followed by exodermis. So this exodermis is also found in root of the epiphytic plant. It is made up of hexagonal, polygonal, compactly arranged lignified cells. It is a dead tissue layer, exodermis. It is not found in another root. It is also adaptation. Exodermis possess small thin walled cells. These cells are known as passage cells. So water which is absorbed by this filament tissue is passing through this passage cell towards this ground tissue, from this ground tissue towards this endodermis, and from endodermis towards the conducting elements of xylem, tracheids vessel, etc. That means this filament tissue is the important anatomical adaptation found in the aerial roots of the orchids. Exodermis layer is also adaptation found in the root. Then conducting tissues like xylem and phloem. they are well developed. As like another land plants or zero-body plants, conducting tissues like xylem phloem are extensively developed or they are well developed. And due to presence of well developed conducting tissues, epiphytic plants can transport or conduct the more amount of water as well as nutrients. Then last adaptation which is shown by the epiphytic plants is ants are generally associated with the epiphytic plants. That means the epiphytic plant organs, aerial organs, produces some cavities, and inside these cavities, these ants can live very happily. That means association of ant with the organs of the epiphytic plants is also adaptation shown by the epiphytic plants. So these are the anatomical adaptations of epiphytic plants. Then lastly I am going to discuss the physiological adaptation shown by the epiphytic plants. So first physiological adaptation shown by the epiphytic plants is most of the epiphytic plants shows the crassulacean acid metabolism pathway of CO2 fixation. So theoretically we know, physiologically plants are classified into C3 plants, C4 plants and CAM plants or CAM plants. So this CAM plant pathway, CAM path or crassulacean acid metabolism pathway is very commonly observed in epiphytic plants. So this is the prominent physiological adaptation shown by the epiphytic plants, presence of CAM or CAM pathway, crassulacean acid metabolism pathway of CO2 fixation. Then second physiological adaptation shown by the epiphytic plants is the epiphytic plant shows the size related changes in anatomy as well as leaf physiology for avoiding the loss of water. This is the second physiological adaptation. For example, some epiphytic plant produces the succulents in their organs. For example, pseudobulb. So this pseudobulb is the adaptation shown by the epiphytic plants for storage of the water. Excessive amount of food material as well as water is so stored in the bulbs, pseudobulbs as well as tuberous structures which are produced by these epiphytic plants. It is also physiological adaptation. Then shootlessness. That means I have told you earlier, the shoot or stem of epiphytic plant is very reduced in most of the plants. Some epiphytic plant shows very reduced stem. That means shootlessness and succulence. These are the physiological adaptations shown by the epiphytic plants. Then next, third physiological adaptation is epiphytic plants receives nutrients released from ground rooted plants through leaching and decomposition process. Fourth physiological adaptation is epiphytic plants obtain nutrients even under scarcity of water. That means even though there is not availability of adequate quantity of water, then and then also these epiphytic plants can obtain their nutrients. And last adaptation shown by the epiphytic plant, physiological adaptation shown by the epiphytic plant is water is helpful for vegetative functioning as well as reproduction in the epiphytic plants. So that's all about the morphological, anatomical and physiological adaptations in epiphytic plants.